Hello and welcome to Yes, You Are Brave. This is a podcast where we are going to set off on a journey together to find and build our brave, where we explore all the ways that you have been brave and all the ways that you can be brave again. Because even though we may have forgotten or we may have fallen out of practice, we're all brave. And I'm on a mission to prove it and help you believe that yes, you are brave. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Yes, You Are Brave. I'm Polyanna, I'm your host. Thank you so much for being here. Let's talk brave. So today we are going to talk about a few ways to intentionally build a positive attitude. Now, I know that this must sound a little strange, but I want to talk about this because I feel like we're always talking, people are always saying, you need to be more positive, you need to have a better attitude, those type of things. But again, I feel like this is one of those things we don't talk about how to have a positive attitude. And I think some of the ways that we do that or we act like it should just happen, a lot of us are not naturally positive people. I know that I am not a naturally positive person. And so it can be hard to just try to just fake it sometimes. And there is a time and a place for fake it till you make it. I realize that. But sometimes I think when we push that too much, then it just becomes like I'm just white knuckling this and I feel like I have to just try really hard and keep going and I don't actually feel it, and then it just makes me feel like more of a failure. So today I want to talk about a few little things to help us intentionally build a positive attitude and to be more positive in general, because again, I think this is a skill, and lately we've been talking a lot about skills, right? We're talking about skills that we can develop that are going to help us then later be brave, because it is also very brave to have a positive attitude, to be a positive person, especially as the world grows continually more negative and more contentious. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about how we can be positive people and how we can build a positive attitude with intention, because if we're not doing things intentionally, then they may or may not happen the way that we want. So the first thing that I want to talk about is kind of going off of last week's episodes. So if you have not listened to episode 92 to 94, which was dropped last week about forgiveness with Barbara, you need to go back and listen to those because they were absolutely amazing. It was one very long, beautiful conversation that we had about forgiveness, and I broke it into 3 episodes so that it's a little bit easier to listen to. It's amazing. So the first thing that I would say, if we are going to build a positive attitude, is we've got to learn how to forgive people, and we've got to learn how to forgive ourselves, because the less we forgive, the more we hold on to, and the harder it is to do anything, really anything, because we're just carrying too much. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on forgiveness because, like I said, 3 episodes from last week, they are amazing. Go back and listen to those. But we got to stop carrying around extra stuff so that we have room to be positive. Now, the next thing, number 2 thing that I want to talk about in building a positive attitude, is you have got to own your power and your ability to change. Okay? I feel like sometimes people are just like, "Oh, well, I'm not a positive person." Well, maybe naturally you're not a positive person, but guess what? You're also not a houseplant. You can change your life, you can change what you do, you can change the type of person you are. You're not stuck. You're not made of metal. You're not cast out of iron and then you're just are who you are. You are a human being that has the ability to change at any given time, however you would like to change. You got to step up. You got to own your own power and your own ability to change. Stop thinking that you can't change, because you can. You just have to decide that you want to, because guess what? You're the one that gets to decide if you're a positive person or not. You're the one that gets to decide, wait, this is the way that I've always been, but I don't like it, so I'm going to change. You get to make those decisions. Stop acting like you don't have any power to change you, because really that's the only power that you really have, is the ability to change you and how you react to things. So that is number 2. Also, I just want to say I used to be a super negative person. Honestly, I don't feel like I'm naturally inclined to optimism, and it took a lot of work to become more of a positive person. So this is also me coming from a place of, I was quite the negative Nancy for a very long time, and it does not have to be that way. So you can change. Number 3, building a positive attitude with intention. You need to use the language of the life you want to lead. Now, what do I mean by that? If you want a more positive attitude, you want a more positive life, you have got to start using more positive language. Way back before I had an episode called Seeing the Power of Your Words and Using Them with Intention or something like that. It is episode 22. Go back and listen to that. But your words have power. Now, I didn't realize how big of a difference this could make until the last couple of years. I started looking into it, started being more intentional with what I was saying, and your words have power. So if you want to be a happier person, if you want to be somebody who is more positive, start using positive language. Start finding the words in your vocabulary that are negative, that are bringing you down, and stop using them. Change them out for something different. And this one, I also kind of wanted to throw in here to don't join in all of the trashy conversation. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to attend every party you're invited to, right? And that is conversations as well. So sometimes people are having these conversations and they're just complaining all of the time. If you start joining in those conversations, then that becomes your language, that becomes your thought pattern, and that is going to lead you down a negative path. I know when I was back in college, I worked at a place, we had a pretty tight-knit little group, and a couple of the girls got married over the one summer. And then the next school year, we're talking about how things were going and stuff, and one of the girls, she was just so negative about everything. And they hadn't been married but less than 6 months. And her husband's like, you have got to stop being so mean, otherwise this is not going to work. And one of the other girls, she says, I can't talk to her about her husband because all she does is complain about her husband. And so then she says, she said, I don't really mean to, but then I start joining in complaining about my husband. And she's like, it's causing problems in my relationship because she's so negative about her relationship. So be very intentional about the conversations that you are joining and that you are spending, especially if they are repeat conversations. It's one thing to have, I know everybody every once in a while, you just got to complain. Sometimes we just need to blow off steam. I'm not talking about those conversations. I'm talking about the repeated conversations that we have over and over again that are negative, that are not allowing us to see the good. Because remember, your words have power. And when you speak more positively, then it influences your thought patterns and it influences your attitude. It can change your whole life just by switching the way that you talk. And then, like I said, when you don't have to, this kind of goes into number 4 where it says, be selective. I want you to be selective about the energy that you choose to engage with and that you spend time around. So that is, again, not attending to conversations that are always just tearing people down, not always engaging with the content that is just super negative and super Debbie Downer all the time. You need to be in a positive, if you want to be a positive person, you need to be in positive spaces, okay? And you don't, like I said, you don't have to accept, especially sometimes it's even things in passing, you don't have to accept people's negative attitudes when they throw them out to you as well. So the other day I was at work, I'm doing this temporary warehouse position and not super fun, but it was Friday and I was put my lunch in the break room and I was leaving and there was a lady in there. I didn't know her from anything. There was a couple ladies in there and one of them I said something about, oh, you have a great day. And she's like, oh, you too. She's like, it's Friday. And she was all excited. And I was like, yeah, I know. I was like, can't be all bad, right? And the other lady that was in there, she was like, well, you haven't started working yet. And I was like, but it can't be all bad. It's Friday. The very least, it's the last day of the week that we have to work. So sometimes a lot of times people are going to be throwing their bad attitude, throwing their negative attitude at you and hoping that you catch it and hold on to it and join them in it. And you don't have to, right? You don't have to take on the negative attitude and the lower energy and the lower vibration of other people. You really don't have to. And it can be hard when sometimes you have to be around them, but you don't have to take it on. You get to decide if you carry that or if you just let it bounce off and stay on the floor of the break room. You don't have to take it out. All right, number 5. Learn how to perfect the art of a bad day. And I know that seems a little silly. That sounds weird. But here is the thing. Days are going to be bad. There are going to be days that are bad. And there's going to be good reasons for them. There's going to be bad. There's going to be not so great reasons for that. But some days are just going to be bad. And you have to learn how to just have a bad day. And what I mean by that is sometimes we have a bad day and then we let it turn into a bad week and a bad month and a bad year, and it just snowballs, right? Now, I'm sure you've also heard the thing that says, was it a bad day or was it a bad 5 minutes that you milked all day? So when you have a bad day, and you're going to have bad days, we're all human, we're all people, we're going to have bad days. We're going to have days that we don't love, days that are awful, days that send us home in tears. But the trick is, if you want to be a more positive person, you've got to learn how to have a bad day or a bad hour or a bad experience and then let it stay there, to not carry it with you into tomorrow. There are so many times when it is very easy to be like, oh, well, that day was crap, which means tomorrow is going to be crap, because why wouldn't it be? You have to learn to let it be a bad day. And sometimes that means, I know one time we were at a family home evening lesson or something, and one of the guys said something about embracing the suck. And I think sometimes that's it. Sometimes you're in it and you have to realize this is a bad day. Like this last week has been super rough with this job that I'm doing. And there was one day and I was like, oh, I hate my life. And I was like, no, that's not true. I don't hate my life. I don't love this part of it though. This is the part I don't love. But my life is not bad. It's just this particular thing that is not great. So I think being able to perfect the art of a bad day is being able to put that bad experience, that bad whatever it is, into like a time frame or a box or something like that. Because yes, we're going to have bad days, and yes, we're going to have bad experiences, but we can choose how long we allow them to be bad. Like I said, it's the saying, was it a bad day or was it a bad 5 minutes that you milked all day? So if it's a bad 5 minutes, then let it be a bad 5 minutes. And sometimes when we're having the bad 5 minutes or hour or whatever, the bad day, sometimes we gotta embrace it. We gotta let ourselves get a little bit mad. We gotta let that feeling come, and we gotta let that feeling go. Sometimes we need to laugh. Sometimes we need to cry, and then we need to let it go. You have got to stop carrying around all the extra crap. I'm gonna say that again for the people in the back. You have got to stop carrying around everything. All the extra crap. You don't have the time. You don't have the capacity to carry around everything. You have got to start letting things go. You really do. So perfect the art of a bad day. Let it be a bad day, and then move on to the next and say, you know what, tomorrow can be better. It's also that quote, what does it say? That sometimes courage is the little voice that says, I'll try again tomorrow. Sometimes the best thing you can do for a bad day is to go to bed. Be like, I'm done with this day. I don't care that it's 7:30. I'm going to bed. Tomorrow has got to be better. Perfect the art of a bad day if you want to be able to have a positive attitude more often than not. Also, wanted a little disclaimer, you're not going to be able to have a super positive attitude all the time, probably, but you can have a positive attitude. You can be a positive person more often than you are not. So keep that in mind. The last thing I know is going to sound super simple and super cliche, but you got to look for the good. Okay? We find what we're looking for. Your brain is an amazing, amazing thing. And guess what? It finds all of the evidence of whatever the story is that you're telling it. If you're telling your brain that the world is wonderful and a beautiful place and things are great, it's going to find all the evidence that the world is wonderful and a beautiful place and things are going great. If you tell your brain that the world is crap and everything is terrible, it's going to find you a ton of evidence that the world is crap and everything is terrible. Goes back to the power of your language, the power of words. So you tell your brain the story that you want it to believe and that you want it to support, because it will find evidence of whatever story you decide to tell it. I guarantee it. So look for the good, even if it's small things, right? It's a pretty sunset. It's a pretty sunrise if you're up that early. It's a gentle breeze that doesn't tangle your hair but cools you down. It's that little baby that's laughing in the next aisle over that you can hear at the grocery store, and it just brings a smile. It is seeing somebody be nice to somebody else. It's that silly little thing that just makes you giggle because it's just funny. okay? It's green lights all the way to work. Whatever it is, you start looking for those little things, you will find more little things, and then you will find bigger and bigger things. It is a process. It is something you have to work at. But if you're intentional about it, if you start by owning the fact that you can change, that you can be whatever kind of person that you want to be, then guess what? You will find power and the ability to change that because you are amazing. You hear me? You're amazing. You're wonderful. You can do whatever the heck you want. And if you are tired of being a negative person, if you are tired of always feeling like the glass is half empty, you can change that. You're the one that gets to decide how you live your life and what goes on inside your head, the things you allow in and the things you allow to stay. So this week, I want to challenge you to pick one of those things, to start working on ways to develop a positive attitude, because changing requires you to be brave, because guess what? That means that you're not perfect yet, but neither is anybody else. We're all just working to be a little bit better, a little bit happier. And if we want to live brave, happy, awesome, amazing lives, it's easier to do if we've got a positive attitude. But that does take some work. So pick one of those things, start working on it. Let me know how it's going. I would love to be able to know how you're doing so that I can cheer you on and support you, because you're amazing and you deserve a cheerleader. I hope you have a fantastical week. Remember that, yes, you are brave enough to intentionally build a positive attitude and do whatever it is you want to do, because you're amazing. I love you. I believe in you, and I'm rooting for you. You have a fantastical day. Thanks for listening, and if you enjoyed what you've heard today, please leave a review down below and share this with anyone that you feel like could use a little more brave in their life. And if you'd like to follow more of my journey to be brave, you can follow me on social media and the link down below. Have a fantastic day, and don't forget to be brave.